is one of the exciting times that you don't always see about when people do track days or racing. Driving to the workshop or to the dealership service centre to get your bike repaired, and it's quite a common thing to do with my V4R anyway, probably lots of them to be fair. So on the way to P&H Ducati in Crawley, which is just near Gatwick. Not been on the road very long. Hopefully they're going to find and solve this last oil leak, and this will be the last of the issues with our mighty Ducati Panigale V4R. Although mighty is probably stands for mightily unreliable. But you know, like my wife says, it's like one of those relationships where somebody bullies the other person, or a violent relationship. Like, it is pretty useless as a motorbike, the V4R, if you want to use it. Like 100%, you need to have a spare bike whenever you go and do a track day. It's the only way around it. But there we go. Fortunately, I do have a spare bike, and I just need to take it with me everywhere that Ducati goes. And but you know, the guys at P&H have said they're really nice, and hopefully they'll do a good little job for us. And next time when we pick it up, it will be a motorbike that holds all its fluids and just likes to have good times and like go around in circles, because that's what we bought it for. So fingers crossed. Here we are, Ducati shop, in the back entrance obviously, because you know that's where all the old broken down Ducatis have to go. And we'll get us unloaded, and then we'll take it through in there and get the bike all fixed. Nice. A quick little bit of an update. As you can see, I'm not in my van, and I'm not at P&H picking up my bike. The oil leak is proving very hard to find. It might even be that it's only possible to find it under load, and obviously no one's going to ride that bike, you know, with the pissing oil outside. Not that they can find it pissing oil unless it's unload. So that's very troublesome for them. They also had a look at the clutch, which is, you know, the service life of the plates on the V4R, this STM super clutch, dry clutch, 2,000 to 4,000 miles. We're at 3,000-ish coming up to, and I think it felt like it was slipping the other day just once. So they've taken it apart, and I'm hoping it's like, you know, 300 quid for plates, which is not too bad. But they said, oh, when they took it apart, they noticed there was a few of the other bits in the clutch were worn and they need replacing. So they priced that up for me, and that was 1,300 quid in parts. And realistically, the bike, as it's got 3,000 miles, but the first 1,000 miles was running it in basically. Second 1,000 miles, it was like having some issue every time we rode it, and so it's really only done about 800 to 1,000 track miles, and the clutch is trash. So 1,300 quid in parts, and obviously that's something you're going to expect every 1,500 miles or so. So next year when I race it, if I race it, that will be £3,000 in clutch parts alone. So, and you see this on other forums, people going, oh, you know, it's expensive to run the clutch, and I'm like, we'll just get plates, quite easy to swap them out. But no, the clutch is obviously just made of cheese. So what I'm investigating, or P&H investigating for me now, is can you fit the wet clutch from the base and S model bike? The dry, when I see people with the base bikes swapping them up to the dry clutch, it's like, you know, each their own, and I'm hoping they're enjoying it, but it's a really, in many areas, a far inferior clutch. And if you're racing and you've got the budget for it, it's got a marginal benefit over a wet clutch, which is why all the MotoGP bikes have it. only really Ducati have it on World Superbike, and the other bikes are doing all right with their wet clutches, aren't they? So I'm like, you know what? I'd much rather have a clutch that lasts more than 2 minutes. So Ducati don't do a kit to convert it back, because obviously nobody does it. And so P&H have been pretty good. So it's Justin down there, and he's contacting Ducati UK saying, I'll find out if it is possible, and if it is, what the parts. I had a quick look at the differences on the parts numbers between the two, and even just quickly, the money runs up quickly, doesn't it? So you need a different clutch cover. There's 2 different clutch covers you need, so that's 500 quid and a little bit. And then you need different clutch discs. Well, we've got to do the 300 quid anyway, so that's kind of a moot point. Disc clutch pressure plate, a primary drive, you know, so that's 800 quid. So, you know, maybe it's probably, let's say that my bill to change to run this clutch is 1,300 quid in parts plus material, plus labour. It's going to be about 1,500 quid. If I upgrade it to the wet, well, upgrade it, side grade it, downgrade it, whatever you want to call it. If I downgrade it or change it to the wet clutch, I'm probably in for 2 grand, hopefully. Although, yeah, so maybe some of these parts we can get second hand as well, so we might be able to save a grand or so there. But in the first year of running the bike, assuming the clutch doesn't decimate itself, you're probably going to save anywhere between 1,500 and 3 grand. So I'm hoping it's worthwhile. But anyway, we're going to find out what Ducati say about that. And we've also found some people have had problems with the dry clutch on the V4R leaking oil, because essentially it's the same crankcases as the base bike, and they just blocked some of the journals, I think, this is layman's terms, to fit the dry clutch. So the roots are there for the oil, so swapping it back. But what some people have found with the V4R dry clutch is oil has been leaking out of these seals, and so that's gone through the open clutch covers that some of us are running, and onto the back tyre, which is what I kind of experienced. So it'll be interesting if they found any oil in there. So again, we're just waiting on P&H, get back to us a couple of things, and hopefully we'll have an update on the exciting clutch issues with our oil leak and just general Ducati ownership issues, basically.